No big deal. Because I'm sure you guys want to see our pretty faces, but I know we're all here for StarCraft 2. So, oops, sorry, trying to sounds back on. Trying to press the score buttons. Spawning here in the top left corner of the map with a commanding game number 1. It's going to be the red Zerg player, Axiom's Impact.
The bottom right is the blue Terran. His MVP is Keen.
Who, if you guys want to follow on Twitter, by the way, is SC2 Keen, not MVP Keen.
Yes, MVP Keen will tweet at you in Russian. You won't know what he's saying.
Well, actually, is he actually still an MVP? I know I think we've had this discussion before, but
And Rifkin, I trusted you on this one.
Everybody's on MVP. Everybody, right? Like, that's a joke we always tend to make.
Except the people who were on MVP for the longest time, which includes Keen.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think he's teamless technically, but it might be one of those things where he's just hanging out with the boys, you know? I'll leave you to Google it while we keep an eye here on the game. Because of course this is Ohana, folks. You probably have not seen this for a while. There's no other tournaments that have been using the Dream Pool. Like, I think that is one cool, unique thing that the Olimoleague's adapted. But for those who perhaps have forgotten or haven't played the ladder because they've been vetoing and raging at this map, I think these rocks here are going to be a pretty big deal for Impact.
He hasn't been on MVP in like 5 months, so thanks.
Nice.
Thanks, Rifkin. I did his intros. God damn it.
You're welcome.
Have you been putting his team on?
No, actually, I didn't have time.
Damn it!
So it is just you who goofed.
Oh, it's definitely you. I trusted your word like a child. Now I learn that adults lie and are also wrong all the time. It's a tough life lesson, man.
Being an adult sucks. But all right, so I think one of the big things when Impact's play, like I want to echo that we're probably not going to see a lot of 100 drone builds. It's just so incredibly irregular. Like, going up as high as 90 sometimes is a bit risky. We make jokes about it, and like in the past, I've definitely seen players like Snoot and Rhett, you know, the first two that come to mind, go for that high drone count. But I really like the way that worked out for Impact. Like, he was just able to just constantly make and waste and use units in the most cost-ineffective ways. But because he had that little bit of extra kick, like that extra 100 minerals per minute, like that's all you need to be able to replace those Banelings, those Zerglings, whatever it is you're losing so haphazardly.
But Impact was in control of that entire game. I still am on the fence. Like, even if he didn't have that many drones, he would be able to do exactly what he did anyways. Like, okay, maybe he wouldn't have as many minerals, but, you know, he'd have a bigger armory, and then he'd just be able to really crush. But it was just like, from the get-go, the mutas didn't do too much damage, but they controlled. It kept Keen a little afraid to push out. When Keen did push out, he wasn't actually the best at killing creep. Tried to do that drop as opposed to maybe that scan would have been more important. I don't know. And then I guess the rally type that Keen does did not fit well into that specific map, where you don't have a straight shoot to your opponent's like vulnerable spot. You do have to go kind of around because there are rocks in the middle that no one ever breaks down.
Yeah, I think it was just going back on that assessing, because I just realized I've been talking a lot about like Impact sort of, I guess, call it greed with that drone count. But let's not forget, Kino's opened that last game with like a theStC, so there was no pressure. And I mean, right now he hasn't made that choice just yet. But without Hellions and Banshees, without putting pressure on that creep, without some sort of effective push, I mean, it kind of makes sense more so that Impact got away with everything that he did. And it looks like he may not actually go for the starport yet again, making a lot of money here.
Well, the biggest thing is always that it is scouted. The best thing about the Hellbat change and just like the more options for a Terran player when it comes to 2-base before they've done the Demand Center is that it's always a fear unless you get the scout in the third CC. So that's why you do want to try and hide it, even though it is technically the normal build. And you can say like, well, whatever, if you see it, you see it. Well, if they don't, they're at least a little bit afraid. Impact was, not afraid at all last game.
Well, he's going to go 2-base again, quicker layer coming out. But again, this is Keen going for the command center. Very greedy. And I mean, there's so many times in StarCraft 2, we see it, I think, reflected most often in Zerg versus Zerg, where greed gets punished very visibly. Maybe not so much for Terran, because this is oftentimes like the dream. Get away with third CC, win the game. But Impact just showed us, well, if you're not going to put pressure on, then he's just going to get away with everything he wants.
Oh. Impact hasn't gotten nearly as good of a scout this time, though. And with 2 Marines covering each side, I don't think he will be able to see the command center. Oh, actually, he still probably would. I don't even know if that ever has to die. It's actually pretty close to the edge.
Yeah, it would just have to move, like, to the ledge. Like, in range of Marines, I think it sees the command center.
Yeah. So, I mean, he definitely could, but I guess he doesn't want to spend 100 minerals on another Overlord to replace it.
Well, the Overlord not going to quite go for that scout yet. This is a bit unfortunate, too, because Impact really had the groundwork laid down here. The Bailey Nest was down pretty quickly. I mean, yeah, he went for the faster Spire, so it kind of makes sense that Roaches weren't going to be the weapon of choice, but you can still use those Zerglings to put on a lot of pressure. You clean up the Hellions. Again, with no Banshee support, it's really hard to just auto-win versus these. Ooh, gonna get some nice shots off there, but almost gets a surround. Impact trying to take some good kills. We'll get one of the Hellions. Looks like he's gonna get 2.
Backs off then. It looks like Keen did stop at 2, or I mean 4? No, where's the other 2? They're stuck back at home. They were walled off. Wow, Keen actually a little afraid here.
I don't blame him, especially after that last game. But
yeah,
you see those Zerglings, you see no third base for the longest time. It is actually kind of logical to assume, okay, there might be an all incoming. And with bunkers, it's not too expensive. You can just salvage these later. That Marine just barely doesn't see those Banelings, by the way. Like,
yeah,
dude just moved like 3 feet.
He didn't get to scout the third, so it is good that he's being this paranoid. It's not that he'd be able to tell exactly those are all in. He scans here, sees a 2-base lair, and that might say, okay, I shouldn't be afraid. But you have this option. You have a Banelist. You have Lings to do this, and Keen is not. Oh,
he just salvaged the other bunkers. The timing couldn't have been worse for this. I mean, this isn't going to end the game right here, but this is still a moment where Impact opens the doors. He floods with Lings. SCV's pulled out of the natural base, and that depot is still down at the top of the ramp. The wall went down. That kind of sucks, but Keen is supply blocked, and I think that's kind of the key thing here. He can't make anything else to defend until he loses units.
Well, yeah, it definitely did not go as bad as it could have.
Actually, the worker count killed was surprisingly low for that. I guess not enough Banelings survived the initial burst because only 5 SCVs died. And, well, I guess, in fact, he did put the fear of God into Keen.
Yeah, I guess. But, yeah, that was almost perfect for Impact. Had he had a couple more Banelings, he definitely would have gotten a lot more SCV kills. Those type of surprises, I mean, what you can also do is, like, wait for them to actually push out. Of course, Ohana is a little bit different because they have these rocks that you want to break down to take your third. But on another map, you would go out with those Marines, look for the Overlord, take the third, and that's when they pounce on you with unexpected Banelings. Luckily for Keen, Impact did have to go through a couple of supply depots, or a couple of Hellions actually, because supply depot was down. Before we got to the SCVs.
Nice control on that Mutalisk, by the way. Didn't lose any to the turret, just in and out on top of the gas, minding SCVs. But the rocks still weren't taken down here, so I mean, for Impact, I guess not feeling pressured about this. I mean, chipped away at it a little bit, but I kind of feel like that's a bit of a mistake. Even if you are in a good spot in the game, you never want to risk this costing you like a late game chase against a medevac or something. Loading here, unloading here.
Yeah, it's not as important as doing it ZVP on this map because force fields. But it is nicer, and it's something that you do with your Lings, right? Everyone says if your Lings aren't doing anything, then they should be doing something, even if it's just like scouting or breaking down rocks.
I mean, Mutalisks just inherently don't have the best sustained DPS, but it is always funny watching them go uncontested for so long. That refinery brings the medevac back to clean this up. But Impact's creep spread right now, wowza! Like, this is looking fan-frickin-tastic.
Yeah, pretty easy map to creep spread, so it's like Cloud Kingdom where there's a bunch of ramps.
Easy
of course,
map,
I don't know, like no one really remembers, I guess, that creep spreads were technically buffed in Heart of the Swarm. I remember they snuck that in and I was so mad, because I wasn't a Zerg player. But they could actually spawn on ramps as opposed to having to wait till the low ground was revealed, or the high ground. That just really bothered me. Anyways.
I guess, yeah. So what do you think about these upgrades, NMrUUG?
They're bad for Impact.
But at the
That's
same
what
time,
I think.
is it really that bad though? I mean, when your army's going to be comprised so heavily on Banelings, I kind of feel like upgrades are not as big of a necessity. Like if he was going heavier Lings than Banelings or heavier Lings than Mutalisks, I kind of would agree. But I think his upgrades are actually, in this weird scenario, okay, despite the fact they are behind.
You can't call them good though. So
That's
they're
for sure.
bad, but it
It's-
doesn't matter that it's bad.
I guess, yeah, it's not the upgrades that are the, I guess, point of contention. It comes down to how those banelings are used, because, as we see, the lings, one way or another, are not going to do too much, although they will trigger a couple of the Widowmines, maybe? There we go.
Some of them did. Well, 2-2 is going to finish up, I mean, hopefully not before Impact starts his own 2-2.
Well, I mean,
But Keen,
that's-
he's got a... What?
I was gonna say, it's just it's the emphasis on the air weapons, right? Like, yeah, not going for the melee weapons. It all looks weird. It looks naive, but I think Impact is doing precisely what he needs to, and I don't believe this is a mistake.
Well, we'll see if that really affects it. I mean, so far, again, he's in really good control. Keen's style of play is not really, like, looking so hot right now. Impact just seems to be countering him on every move. And I was gonna bring up that, you know, he's kind of doing this, like, this frontal push that is pretty, like, you know, you see it coming and then you defend it as a Zerg player. It's the easiest thing to defend, even if it's not actually easy to defend, as opposed to someone who is dropping in two places and also pushing forward, where you have to make, you know, those split-second decisions. And the thing is that Keen's, like, frontal attack army is actually not that scary. I mean, it keeps on losing all those widow mines. They never seem to get that great shots. If you're not gonna, like, depend solely on, like, good Widowmine hits, then I would definitely suggest, you know, dropping, or at least trying to pull the mutas out of position.
Well, the Muta's heading back towards the main right now. There's a small amount of runnings waiting for them, but this is not that many still. I don't think you'll want to fly into it. There we go. Backs away. 5th base for Impact taking. Look, this is starting to remind me of the old days of once upon a time. This, Akalon Waste, etc. You know, next up, the Ultralisks, right?
Broodlords, bro.
Yeah, Faster Broodlord too. I was thinking more like Heart of the Swarm, less Wings of Liberty, but we got the Banelings colliding from the left side, catching a lot of the Marines on the retreat. Not a lot of Banelings are left, but neither are there a lot of Marines. Impact over still going to fall back and not throw away these Mutalisks.
I was wondering where the rest of his army was. His supplies were still even. There it is. It joins up, and also the small handful from the main as well. So the main is now, you know, bare, and Keen, or Impact immediately goes towards that. The 5th base is not done. Okay, you can just cancel this. Oh, I thought Keen was gonna.
Yeah.
Yo, against one Marine. Watch out.
I mean, I guess technically,
I thought he was gonna go up that path, right? Like, I mean, Keen really doesn't have I mean, you think about overgrowth, right? And it's like you start attacking towards that 3rd, or you start attacking towards the 3rd and the 4th. It's very clear what base you're trying to attack. Keen so far is just attacking up the middle, hoping to get somewhere.
Well, Impact floods in with the links to trigger all those Widowmines yet again. This allows those Mutalisks to come in pretty much uncontested. Same with the Banelings. Good connections, but still a lot of units left for Keen. And Impact, who's not quite 100 drones heavy this game, he's kind of struggling for that mineral count, trying to get enough units to replace this. There's 30 more lings on the way, and he's using all the larvae possible, but I just want to stress that behind this, he's going for Burrow. He went for what is looking like Hive Tech. There we go. Hive starts up right away. So playing this game very different than the last one.
Yeah. It would not be the worst thing for Impact to lose this 5th, but he's still going to take the fight. His upgrade, one of the upgrades at least finished. He takes really good Baneling hits.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fight on creep. You're going to have a little bit extra movement speed, but I mean, that's all the movement speed in the world sometimes. The dynamic of creep speed versus not creep speed is so just phenomenal sometimes, and then sometimes there's no effect, but that was definitely one of those engagements that worked really well for Impact. Still following it up. Doesn't quite have the mustard on the ground to keep pushing. A lot of the Mutalisks have bled off at this point in the game, 7 down, so Impact not quite sitting too high, but 8 more are on the way.
Just this. When you look at this game, you just gotta feel that Keen is not getting anywhere. You know, all the creep Timber Queens are still alive. They're still spreading creep pretty diligently.
Oh, this timing of the mutas in the main, just as the turrets are completing.
Yeah, and now he has a lot of mutas, and they have really good upgrades as well. So 20 mutas with 2-1, about to have 2-1.
Yeah, like, at this point, you gotta kind of wonder, like, I get the Widowmine priority because of what happened last game. You're a little bit scared. You don't want Banelings to swamp, but for Keen's sake, like, not at least one Thor? I mean...
Yeah, I'm mostly on that. I think Thor is definitely, I don't know, needed at this point. Everyone's all about the Thors these days, but Decides not to. He does scan. That was good. Doesn't fall prey to burrowed banelings. Oh, please go. Okay.
He saw that. He saw that. Good scan there out of Keen as he starts pushing this back. Wall at the top was never replaced, so it does go down. Wouldn't have mattered. Lots of banelings here either way. Going to try and roll into that SCV line. Remember, guys, these are stacked up really hardcore. More Woodmice burrowed here. He's trying sneaky stuff. I like it.
At the very least, he's burning all of Keen's scans. You know, eventually, if he could keep doing it, he would get a opportunity to burrow baneling.
It is kind of worth it in a way. Keen needs all these scans to make up for the fact that he's under so much duress, that there's so much attack going on, and he's losing SCVs or mining time. I mean, it's 57 workers versus 87. Maybe that's not too drastic because of mules, but still, you don't have those mules if you're burning those scans.
Yeah.
Oh,
Keen, thankfully.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Oh, who does that?
Keen,
Zerg. Thankfully, did get to a 4th base. So, you know, obviously staying on 3 base for as long as he did, didn't really get a whole lot off of it, but he has been trading fairly evenly. I mean, they still have the same supply. Actually, Impact versus Law is actually a lot worse, so maybe a little better than evenly. But as far as control of the game, Keen has never had that. The jobs have never done damage. I don't think he's actually been dropping that much. Frontal Assaults, Impact has been able to clean up, and he is on 5 bases.
Bracket update, by the way, guys. Gumiho 2-0's Salvation. What?
Wow.
I mean, I like Gumiho, and it's not that crazy, I guess, but Salvation, man. Yikes. Well, we'll see Gumiho in the semifinals, but a best of 5 against. I don't know what part of the bracket he's on. We'll look at that later. Anyways, the Ultra Scavenger is coming out, and while Impact has certainly had control of this game, I think this is still just kind of floundering for Keen. You point out he did finally get that 4th, and it is a planetary, so that's fantastic and all that. But as we see, his natural base still compromised, still hasn't rebuilt that wall. Lings just run in without any contest. I mean, this is just starting to fall apart for Keen. Takes an engagement here in the middle of the map, though. We'll see if he can take out enough of these banelings. He's off of creep after all.
Oh, that was pretty good. Does force Impact to retreat, and maybe finally Keen can actually pressure a base? What? Of course, Impact had this base for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, but at the same time, Impact doesn't have a lot of cash right now. Replacing those banelings is expensive. Same with trying to make Ultra lists. Should he make that tech swap? And with what little forces he has, he's actually making great effect. Not taking the same baneling hits he's been taking all game. Suddenly, it's like Keen woke up, and these splits have been fantastic. The focus fire is good, and this army still rages on. Well, there's a drop here on the right side, a double drop here on the right side. Looks like the pressure on this base didn't kill it, but it shouldn't have a kill on this hatchery.
Ah, that's nice. You know, now that 5th is pretty important. It's 25 minutes into the game. Killing that base is going to be more and more, he's going to be more keen on it, you might say.
This right here, like the Hades gift.
Yeah.
Well, left side looks like it might just get that kill it couldn't earlier. As Impact goes from the right side, bouncing left, bouncing right, just can't get across the map in time. And Keen takes out 2 very critical bases of Impact and starts turning this game in his favor for the first time in almost 20 minutes.
Yeah, he's finally taking control of the game. A drop in the main was killing a couple reinforcements. Not really so much in the buildings, and Mutas will take care of it, but Impact has lost 2 bases, and he's not rolling in money. He can't just afford to replace them. He places one, not the other, but he is having a tough time with this.
Look at that split. Look at that focus fire out of Keen. A man on a rampage. He doesn't want to go down 2-0. Not like this. So as he continues to push forward, GG's going to be called. Keen will tie up the series 1-1. Of course, this is really important now because it is